U.S. consumers keep spending despite high prices. However, sentiment taking a toll in October with expectations for little change in November. At Yahoo Finance's Invest Conference, we got to hear from business leaders on their views over the consumer. Take a listen.
I worry that we could have some geopolitical dynamics that could put some more stress on inflation moving forward. And it's fragile enough in the overall equation that, one or two of those things break the wrong way. I think it could ultimately roll down to the consumer.
If in the next 12 months we have a soft landing, if growth stays above potential, if inflation falls further, if real wages are increasing, then I think the consumer confidence is going to be increasing over time.
Here to dig deeper into the state of the consumer is Natalie Kotlyar, BDO, Retail and Consumer Products National Industry Leader. So Natalie, here's the thing with the consumer right now is we have a lot of CEOs on Yahoo Finance. I feel like right now, Natalie, if I put two CEOs in a room and ask them about the consumer, I'm going to get three different opinions, right? I mean, it's really all over the place. I will say, I talked, Natalie, to Klarna's CEO recently, which was interesting because he did say, and listen, that's a unique insight as a buy now, pay later operator into the consumer. And he was telling me, listen, he does see weakening consumer spending trends. How are you seeing the consumer right now? What's the state and health?
You're absolutely right. So we're seeing consumer spend staying the same. And the consumers are really in a unique place right now, right? So we're seeing a lot of resiliency coming from the consumer, even in the time of challenges that is out there right now, between inflation continuing to stick around, interest rates potentially going up, and still being at high levels. The debt of the average consumer is pretty high. The average consumer has about $6,000 in debt at the moment. Loan repayment for school loans that just started in October. And you look at all of those things, certainly takes consumer confidence down to a 3-month low. But then at the same time, we're also talking about consumers being resilient. So how do you make sense of all of that, right? So I think what we are seeing is that the consumer resilience is it's like a couple of stages behind, and it's going to catch up. And unfortunately, I do think it's going to catch up during the holiday season, and we're going to see consumers starting to pull back. In fact, we've already seen some of that even on Prime Day, although it was pretty successful for Amazon. But if you dig deeper, you'll see that over 60% of the consumers that purchased products on Amazon were under $20. And only 4% of the consumers made purchases over $100. So that's telling you right then and there that the average consumer is strapped for cash. They have a fixed budget, and they're really trying to fit in everything that they need to buy, whether essentials, non-essentials, holiday gifts. They're trying to pack all that into a fixed budget.
Now, when we talk about the consumer, we talk about like there's one consumer though, and of course there's different kinds of consumers. Are you seeing differences, let's say, between right now low income, middle income, and affluent, and how they're navigating these different storm clouds?
So you're definitely going to see a distinction between lower income and the higher. So you're always going to have that distinction between the two. The higher income brackets are not as affected by what we're seeing now because of the wealth that they have aggregated, whereas the consumer that is on the lower end of the threshold, their pocket is certainly a lot more fixed. And given where we are with, as I mentioned earlier, inflation, debt, interest rates, their pocket is a lot more fixed, and we're seeing them struggle more.
And Natalie, you mentioned that consumers will start to pull back even more come the holidays. What does that mean from the retailer's perspective? How steep will the discounts need to be?
So it's going to be almost a waiting game between the consumer and the retailer. So the consumer is going to try to hold out for that best price. And we're dealing with a really educated consumer today. Anyone that's going in to do any kind of shopping, whether it's they're going to the mall, they're going to a strip mall, they're going to the supermarket, they have their phones, where they can identify, is this the right price? Is this the cheapest price? Can I download a coupon? So there's going to be that tug of war, so to say, about which retailer is ultimately going to win and pick up that consumer. So retailers really need to understand who is their consumer and what's important to them. Is it price? Is it quality? Is it selection? Or do I need to have that hot ticket item for the holiday season that's going to draw that consumer?
And during the holidays, as they start shopping here, Natalie, any insight into what you think consumers will be after specifically? Anything that you think is going to be really on their radar this holiday season?
So it seems as if the average consumer is going to be going after a couple of things, right? So they're going to go after something that's going to make a big bang, right? You want to get the bang for the buck. So whether it's apparel, because that's really easy, you can get there on a significant discount and still get that big box of sweater and that big gift. It'll make a big splash, so to say, and electronics, because that's always a favorite.
We've seen that, especially around Black Friday. A lot of people jumping in on those deals. Natalie Kotlyar, good to talk to you today. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.